Hello peeps and welcome back to another Big Deck Player with me, Matt Sparks. On today's show we are taking a look at a Paladin deck. This has been submitted on Hearthstone by Jacka, who is a pro player from Belgium, and this is his Secret Paladin deck. Okay, this is the deck. It should probably be called a Divine Secret Paladin deck, to be honest, because there's a lot of Divine Shields in this deck, as well as secrets and stuff. Jacka used this at the 2016 DreamHack event, and it did pretty well there, and he has shared it on Hearthstone, and so now I'm sharing it with you as well, because I think this is a pretty cool and interesting deck. And it's unlike anything I've come up against so far. Even if you don't play this deck yourself, it might be good to familiarise yourself with it in case you come up against it. So let's start at the top and work our way down like we normally do. So we've got a whole bunch of secrets. We have one competitive spirit, which when your turn starts it gives all your minions +1/+1. So far I haven't been able to use this really effectively, but combos quite nicely with how this deck works. We have two noble sacrifice, because everyone likes to get down. Also we have one redemption. When one of your minions dies, return it to life with 1 health, which can be especially useful when coupled with Divine Shield. And finally we have a repentance as well, so after your opponent plays a minion, reduce its health to 1. So they're the secrets that we got. We haven't got as many secrets as maybe the previous iterations of Secret Paladins have had, but it's still a good selection. Okay, so we've got a whole bunch of cards. I'm going to just skip down to the 3 mana cards briefly, because we have 2 Steward of Darkshire in this deck. So whenever you summon a 1 health minion, give it Divine Shield. Now we have a lot of low cost 1 health minions in this deck, as well as the secrets and stuff. So Steward of Darkshire is very, very important and key to this deck's mechanics, I guess. So you kind of need to try and protect your Steward of Darkshire as best you can, because obviously it's going to be a bit of a prime target for whoever you're playing against. And with only 3 health, it's fairly easy to get rid of. So let's go back up again. Back up, we have 2 Abusive Sergeants, so they have 1 health, so they'll get Divine Shield if the Steward of Darkshire is on the board, so that goes for the majority of these cards. I found that if you go completely aggro with this deck, you will not only run out of cards very quickly, but you'll also run out of minions very quickly. 2 Argent Squires, so these have got to be in your mulligan, in your starting hand, because they're awesome. 1/1 with Divine Shield is a little bit sticky. Also at 1 mana we have 2 Selfless Heroes, so these have 1 health, so these will get Divine Shield, and when they die they give something else Divine Shield, which is pretty nice too. Maybe you want to put this on the board and then run it into something so that it gives its Divine Shield to, say, Steward of Darkshire. Trying to protect it as best you can, this might be a valid option. Another option could be the 2 mana Argent Protector, which has a battle cry, give a friendly minion Divine Shield. This is also a nice way to try and keep your stewards defended as best they can. There is only 1 of these though, so make sure you use it wisely. Also at 2 mana we have 2 Bilefin Tidehunters. Now these are particularly good because they're both 1 health minions, so they both get Divine Shield. One of them is a Taunt, which gives you a little bit of protection. It's got to absorb 2 hits. Turn 5, you could put out your Steward of Darkshire and the Bilefin Tidehunter to have 2 minions on the board with Divine Shield and one of them Taunt. It's a nice combo. Talking of combos, we have a Rallying Blade. In fact, we have 2 Rallying Blades at 3 mana, which is a 3/2 weapon, which is pretty nice. And it gives +1/+1 to your minions with Divine Shield. So obviously the more minions you have on the board with Divine Shield, the more value you get from that. It's only 1 mana more than like a Fiery War Axe, and it has that battle cry on it as well, which is nice. Also at 3 mana we have 2 Divine Favours, so these will draw cards until you have as many in your hand as your opponent. These are quite important, but so far I only seem to get them in the second half of my deck, when my opponent is top decking or only has 1 card in their hand and therefore are completely useless. Because this is your only real source of card draw, and unfortunately it relies on your opponent having a lot of cards, which doesn't always happen. In fact, more often than not in my experience playing this deck, it doesn't happen at all, and if it does, then you won't get your Divine Favours, because that's how Hearthstone works. Also at 3 mana we have 2 Argent Horse Riders. Although they have 1 health, they won't get the extra Divine Shield if you have your Steward of Darkshire on the board, because they already have Divine Shield, but it's a Divine Shield minion, which means you can can buff it with your Rallying Blade. As I mentioned earlier, we got a Steward of Darkshire. We've already covered that one, so we'll move on swiftly to 4 mana. We have 2 Blessing of Kings. This could be an option to try and keep your Steward of Darkshire alive, giving it a Blessing of Kings, making it a 7/7. I mean, that's kind of putting an even bigger bullseye on it. Might not necessarily be a good idea, but it might help keep it alive a bit longer than not. There is only 1 Consecration in this deck, which I'm not too keen on. I'd much rather have 2 Consecrations, especially with some of the aggro decks that come up. It's nice to be able to keep your minions rather than having to trade a bunch of your minions into stuff. Also at 4 mana we have 2 Keeper of Aldermans, so you can set a minion's attack and health to 3. This has been particularly useful for me, not only to just buff my own minions, but to reduce the attack and health of my opponent's minions. Sometimes I forget that the Keeper of Alderman can do that. This card is definitely worth keeping around because you don't have anything for like really big removal, unless you get really lucky with like a Repentance. Other than that, you've got nothing to get rid of really big minions. So keeping a Keeper of Alderman for that reason, because you've got a lot of small things, a lot of small minions that you can be playing, it's going to be a lot easier to get rid of something that only has 3 health. Alright, we make a bit of a jump up to 6 mana now. We have 2 Mysterious Challenges. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 secrets in total. When you pick your mulligan at the start of the game, you don't want to pick any secrets, ideally. But you can never tell whether you're going to get secrets or not. I'm wondering whether you really need 2 Mysterious Challenges. There's only, as I say, there's only 5 secrets, and 2 of them are Noble Sacrifice, so it'll only bring out 1 Noble Sacrifice anyway. I mean, it's still a 6/6, so it's still a pretty good threat. With the battle cry on top, I'm just not sure that it's necessary to have 2 of them. You'll play 1 Mysterious Challenger and you'll maybe get 3 or maybe even 4 secrets on the board, and if you do that, then the next time you play Mysterious Challenger you're going to get 1. Is it worth it? Is it worth playing another 6 mana just to get that 1 extra secret out, or would it be better to put something else in instead? I think having the 6/6 is still a big threat for your opponent to deal with, but maybe there could be something else instead. Maybe if you wanted to, you could put in the Argent Commander, because that has Divine Shield, so that would work quite nicely. Or you could put maybe just a True Heart. That could be quite effective in this deck, because then you'll get 2 1/1 minions with your hero power, which if you've got the Steward of Darkshire out, you know, that could be quite nice to combo with. Or maybe even a Sunwalker, because the Sunwalker has Divine Shield as well. So, you know, there's lots of things you could put in instead of a Mysterious Challenger if you don't have 2 of those. And then finally at 8 mana we have Tyrion Fordring, because he's got Divine Shield as well, and Taunt, and his Death Rattle is equip a 5/3 Ashbringer, and he's a 6/6. Tyrion Fordring is awesome sauce as far as I'm concerned. The deck can be found on hearthstone.com. There is a link in the description below which will take you there, so you can go and check it out for yourself. He's done a really good write-up, and it's definitely worth a read if you want to play this deck. The deck itself isn't too expensive. Obviously Tyrion Fordring is in there, so there is a legendary in there, and then there's the 2 Mysterious Challenges, which are both epics. But otherwise it's not really too expensive. The total crafting cost is 3,820 dust, and if you've been playing for a long time you probably have a lot of these cards already anyway. So as usual, if you have any suggestions for future decks, feel free to let me know. If you play this deck, let me know how you get on, or if you come up against this deck, let me know how you get on. And I will see you next week for some more Big Deck Player. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.